And we are back. Welcome back, everybody, to this live stream. This time we're here for the qualifying session ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix here at the Bahrain International Circuit in Sakhir. I'm once again JW97, and once again I'm joined by F2 commentator Rob.
I guess we could both call ourselves top class commentators since we've been doing this a lot. But yes, welcome everybody. Welcome to Bahrain. This tiny little Middle Eastern kingdom should be host to a very entertaining qualifying session. As per usual, in this arid country, it's going to be a bone dry race, no chance of rain whatsoever. And by a dry race, I meant a dry qualifying. So let's get that underway. Sorry about
Yes,
my slip of the tongue. I'm just getting maybe a little bit too excited.
Ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
So anyway, might as well ask you, Rob, who do you believe will be eliminated in the first part of qualifying? Same for everybody else in the stream chat.
I haven't really given it much thought. I'm just gonna go for the standard prediction of 2 AlphaTauri, 2 Haas, 2 Williams.
Okay, I'm gonna say both Williamses, both Hasses. I'm gonna say 1 AlphaTauri. I think 1 will get through into Q2, and I'm gonna say an Aston Martin as the other prediction.
All right.
So that's that. Of course, a reminder for everybody, the tyres we're using is the medium tyres. And also a reminder as well, there are 2 grid penalties that we need to bear in mind as well. One of them is Daniel Fraser. He has a 5-place grid penalty for the incident he had with Jamie Griffiths at the stadium section at Mexico. And the other one being Kirishima De Rosa. He has a 10-place grid penalty for causing a multi-car incident at the first corner, which involved Roland Motrin, the 2 Mercedeses, and even teammate Joseph Willows, who lost his front wing in the process of all of that. So, yeah, there are 2 grid penalties to bear in mind during the session, as I've just realised my headphones are starting to nearly die on me. But before I go into quickly change my headphones, let's see your predictions in the stream chat before I do that. Ra has said both AlphaTauris, both Williamses, an Aston and a Haas. Von Chanek has said both Williamses, both AlphaTauris and both Haasses. Franco Gamba said both Williamses, an AlphaTauri, Haas, Aston, and an Alpha. Chris has said both Williamses, both Haas, 1 AlphaTauri, and 1 Aston Martin. So I'm just going to quickly change my headphones briefly, so just bear with me, guys.
Then I'll take over while you sort it out. So Laura Chang is the first car out on track, of course. She's had an engine failure, so she couldn't really do a lot of practice around this track in the Lambo. But she'll be hoping she can get through Q2 without a hitch. She's just about going to enter Sector 3 soon, the hill here towards turn 12 and 13. Oh, sorry, 11 and... Is this 13 or is this 14? I'm not quite exactly 100% sure on the corner names, but nevertheless, Laura Chung is going to begin the first flying lap of the session. She's not going to have any traffic, of course, so here we go. The Bahrain session is getting underway properly with this first flying lap, and since Joe is back, he can take us through it.
I am indeed, as Chung is coming down the pitch straight now. Then all 22 cars are now out on track, so no traffic issues for Laura Chung. Of course, let's not forget in practice, of course, both Lamborghinis both had engine failures, so both Rahul and Laura will be hoping the same doesn't repeat itself in this qualifying session. Now they've both got fresh engines in the back of their cars. As Laura Chung makes her way out of turn 3, she will now make her way up towards turn 4, and then will soon be approaching the end of the first sector. Through into the turn 4, of course, it was a lot different back in 2004, that right-hander, but then they curved it out from 2,500 when they fully completed the track. A 26.256 in the first sector for Laura Chung as she makes her way through into the S's now then. A 26.012 for Chatfield, a 26.226 for Carr, so both of them going quicker than Chung in the first sector, with Carr only a tiny bit quicker in that sector. 26.422 for Gal in the first sector, 26.255 for Videri in that first sector, 26.394 for Sontag, a 26.025 for Roke, so he currently sets the quickest first sector at the moment. A 26.231 for Lopez meanwhile. So just slightly slower than teammate Carr in the first sector, as Chung now approaches the end of the second sector now then, and she does a 1 minute 4.327 in that middle sector as she rounds, well, it technically classes a third to last corner because the little kink after this right hand that we're coming up to is actually classed as a corner for some reason. So technically, this is the penultimate corner, and then this little right-hander is actually classed as the final corner, but I think all of us prefer to call the previous right-hander the final corner. But anyway, Laura Chung down the pitch straight, she will now come. and she will now come across the line. And what is the benchmark of time going to be? A 1 minute 29.115 is the benchmark of
Honestly,
time
it's more of a
for Laura
corner
Chung.
than turn to at Austria for me, but Chris Stratfield merely beats that. Kyle goes into second. As Julius Anderson will go to last, probably, yes. Niklas Gallup next, he goes fourth fastest. David Kupok, his teammate, goes fifth. Andre Feder goes third. Felix Dontag next across the line, the German, he goes eighth fastest. Rogue went fourth. Gamba went fastest. Lopez goes fourth. Now we have Jake Galloway, and he will go into eighth only. Jamie Griffiths up next to cross the line. Griffiths goes 11th fastest. Rahul Patel goes 10th fastest. What about Evan Byrne? Where is he going to slot himself? As he's about to cross the line using the full straight line speed of the Renault. The Irish driver crosses the line and he goes third fastest. Joseph Willows.
Across the line, he goes second. Motrin, who was getting some slipstream, went into 11th there. De Rosa goes into 10th. Hazes Perrinan crosses the line, goes into 6th. Daniel Fraser, what can he do? In the Haas, there's still 3 more cars left to do a lap. Fraser crosses the line, goes 19th. Quag goes 12th with that lap as Amelia Wilson looks like she's
had
made a
horrible
massive
lap.
mistake somewhere because I think she might have made a mistake in the middle sector. She's 5.7 seconds off. So the newly signed Alfa Romeo driver has made a mistake and she's made a similar error to what Rahul Patel did in practice earlier on.
Turn 10 is one of the trickiest corners on the calendar. It's so easy to lock up and mess up because you gotta do your braking. You gotta do your braking in a straight line so you don't brake and turn at the same time, which will cause a lockup. It's an incredibly difficult skill because you have to maximize the amount of time you gain. You need to be as early on the throttle as you can to maximize your run on the straight. And clearly, you can really struggle in that corner. It's so easy to get wrong.
Yes, indeed. But they are the first ones done with, and it is Gamba at the top of the timing sheets. We were wondering whether Gamba was just sandbagging a bit in practice. Well, at the moment, he did seem like he was holding something back in the locker, Rob.
Yeah, indeed. And he's definitely turned it up to 11 at the moment. He's feeling very comfortable with the car, so that was a very productive practice session for him.
Yes, indeed. He's 93 thousandths quicker than Joseph Willows, who looks to continue the pace he showed in practice. As mentioned, Willows has had a good run of form these last few races and has been really been trying to make sure that McLaren stays in front of Lamborghini in the Constructors' Championship in their fight for 5th. And once again, Willows putting in a strong performance. Whether you can keep that up, though, throughout the remainder of the qualifying session, it remains to be seen. But currently in the drop zone, we have Kupok, Griffiths, Sontag, Fraser, Anderson, and Wilson, of course, thanks to her mistake she made at turn 10.
Yep, indeed. And so who's that? Both, no, not both AlphaTauris. Both Williams, both Haas, one Aston, and one AlphaTauri. But they're also struggling a little bit. He's just about on the cusp.
My prediction, in fact, currently in the drop zone. So so far I'm getting it right, although I do expect some improvements to happen on the second lap, especially from Amelia Wilson, who of course made that mistake. So you should expect an improvement to come from her. And usually during the second runs, of course, one driver gets left behind. Same with all the series as we have in the OC, except of course the World Champ car, which is of course one-shot qualifying, and of course Formula E, which has 13 cars go out at a time to avoid a pit lane glitch involving the Formula E cars. Hopefully that gets sorted, especially given that Yuri has said he's looking to potentially sort the physics out for Formula E for next season. So
thank God.
to see,
looks like I'll be staying there, so thank God.
I think a lot of people shared that same that same opinion as well on Discord when you mentioned it. So anyway, as currently, as you said, Patel currently in the cusp, but we could see an improvement as Amar Khan in the Mercedes is going to go out first of all for the second runs, and it looks like he's going to be joined by George Roke, I think, because it says Acura on the rear wing of that Red Bull, I think. So I think it is George Roke that's coming out second. Roke currently down in ninth. I think he did get held up on his lap, if I'm not mistaken. He did have a car around him, so maybe expect an improvement from Roke, who, of course, let's not forget, topped the practice session a little bit earlier on, so maybe more pace to find for the 5-time race winner. Car now then just making his way around turn number 4 then, as he'll be hoping that nobody comes out on track by the time he comes back around the circuit.
Yep, that's right. And Amar Khan is a man on a mission in these last 3 races. He knows what he has to do. Close that gap to Franco Gamba in the championship and overtake him.
Yes, indeed. And fun fact from Franco Gamba, who's just put in the stream chat, a little bit of trivia. The last time he raced here for the Bahrain Grand Prix, it was exactly, if we're talking about real life timeline, it was exactly a year ago. So it's been a year since we've visited this track. So,
It-
yeah.
To the day.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one. A bit of an interesting fact there. But anyway,
Some nice
we
trivia
got
there.
nice bit of trivia there. As we now look at Armar Khan now, then he's just making his way out of the second to last turn, or the third to last corner as it's classed as, but to all of us it's the second to last corner. But anyway, through the last turn then goes Armar Khan as he's prepared to start his lap. There is still 4 cars in the pit lane. As mentioned, one does usually get left behind, and he'll be hoping he doesn't get caught up by that driver that comes out of the pits as he makes his way onto the pit straight, and it looks like he is going to get a clear track in front, so no issues for the car. I wonder, out of Perrin and Quag and Wilson, who's going to be the two that goes out and who's going to be the one that stays behind. Wilson probably hoping it's not going to be her after her mistake that she made earlier on. As Carr now then making his way towards the right-hander now then, and Wilson does go out on track, so it's either Perrin or Quad, the two future teammates, who will be left in the pit lane. As Carr approaches the end of the first sector, he's 45 thousandths down on his personal best, and it's Roman Quag that's the one that gets left behind, as Perrin has come back out onto the circuit, as now through into the hairpin goes Armar Khan, and could still gain the time back. Of course, the first sector doesn't really mean too much because it's mainly just straights. There's only one major braking zone on that track, and the rest of it is either flat out or medium speed. But anyway, as Khan now then making his way down the support pit straight now then as he makes his way towards the left-hander, and he looks like he's made a huge mistake there because it looks like he's just had a wiggle there and has gone a little
this
bit
is not
wide
the
and missed
lap.
the apex. So we mentioned that he was a little bit down on his personal best in the first sector. Well, any chance he had of trying to be up on his personal best, well, that's gone down the toilet.
Yep, indeed. Either way, as long as he keeps the car on track, and by that I mean he doesn't beach it somewhere, he'll be all right because he's safe through Q2. It's indisputable at this point, really.
Yes, indeed. Carr now then making his way towards the final corner. He's not expected to improve after that mistake he made coming off the support pit straight. But anyway, Carr now then across the line he will go in the Mercedes. And he crosses the line, does not improve. As George Roke's up on his personal best, so as mentioned, he was held up on his first lap. So let's see where he goes with nobody around him. He crosses the line, goes into 5th position. Andre Vaderi also up on his personal best. He goes into 7th. So once again, showing the 1 lap pace, how strong the 1 lap pace is for the Alfa Romeo. Here comes Jamie Griffiths as he makes his way out of the final turn and onto the pit straight now. Then he will go. As Griffiths now then comes across the line, he's down on his personal best. He crosses the line and stays in 18th. Byrne also down on his personal best in the Renault, and he stays where he is. Chong up on her personal best, and she goes up into 10th position. Pushes De Rosa outside the top 10. As it looks like Garma, the man at the top of the timing sheets, being held up by his former teammate Miklos Gal here, or maybe getting some slipstream from the fellow Red Bull team. Although neither of them improve on that occasion. Anderson up on his
Anderson
personal
is on
best.
improvement.
Goes up into 11th place. That pushes Patel into the drop zone. Galloway goes up into 4th. Chatfield crosses the line, no improvement. Fraser up on his personal best, goes up to 15th, pushes Gal into the drop zone. Here comes David Kupok. Across the line he will go. He stays 19th. Lopez goes up to 2nd with a healthy bit of slipstream from Kupok in front, so P2 for Lopez. Sontag up on his personal best, meanwhile in the Williams. Crosses the line and goes only 20th, so still in the drop zone. Motrin doesn't improve. Patel goes up to 11th, so pushes Motrin down into the drop zone as a result. De Rosa is not on an improvement, and he's currently down in 14th position, and he's now going to cross the line and go find some time in the last sector. In fact, and go into 13th. Wilson, as expected, up on her personal best after the mistake that she made earlier on. So whether she can get out of the drop zone, we will see as she now rounds the final turn. Her teammate Fraser is currently out in the top 16 threshold, but if she makes it into the top 16, she'll push her teammate down into the drop zone. Wilson across the line, and she goes 15th. So yep, she does push her own teammate Fraser into the drop zone there then. And of course, Perinen is on a lap
close,
as well. Perinen is on a lap as well, and he goes up into 4th as Perinen. So Perinen up into 4th place, and for some reason Yuri wasn't aware there that Perinen had done a lap, but there we are. But at the moment then, Gamba is still at the top, but only by 21 thousandths of a second. The top 3, in fact, separated by 93 thousandths of a second, and currently in the drop zone now are Fraser, Motrin, Gal, Kupok, Sontag, and Griffiths.
Yep, indeed, and quite in Q1 at the moment. Looks like we're gonna have one hell of a fight to see who can make it through.
Yeah, indeed, and Wilson was able to rectify the mistake that she made on her second flying lap there by going into 15th, but whether she can stay there and get through into Q2 once again It's going to be a question. I'm not sure if she's going to be able to replicate what she did last time out in Mexico and get through into the final part of qualifying, but we will see. Anything can happen
You never
in
know.
this qualifying session. So, anyway, as Laura Chung is back in the pits, the Lamborghini's looking a little bit off in this session, it's fair to say, compared to the pace that Patel showed in practice before the engine blew up. They're 11th and 12th at the moment, so maybe they're
Let's not
just
forget the
easing
lap
things
times
before
were a full
Q2.
second slower in practice than they are right now, so that could also be a factor. Maybe they're pushing a little bit harder in practice compared to the others, especially Patel.
Indeed, and so that's that really, as we wait for their third and final runs to happen, which I think most of the drivers should be able to do, given how much time there is left on the clock. Of course, they need to get out before the 1 minute 28 threshold if they want to do one more flying lap, especially the drivers who are currently down in the drop zone. Of course, Quag got left behind on that occasion, and he dropped down to 16th as a result of those second runs, so we should be expecting him to go out soon, but he's not going to be out first because, once again, Car is going out onto the track first for the third and final runs of Q1.
Hopefully, Kyle will be aiming for a better lap time compared to the disaster that was the previous lap. He made lots of errors, and he can use this run as a practice for Q3 mainly, and for Q2 if need be.
Yes, indeed, as Carr now then preparing for his final flying lap. Carr currently in 9th position, just behind George Roque, who himself has also gone out on track. Quag has also come out onto the track as expected, and he's currently just in the cusp of the top 16 threshold, so probably feels the need to improve just to make sure that anybody in the drop zone doesn't push him down there, as Gal and Griffiths have made their way out on track as well. Only Fraser, Motrin, Kupok and Sontag have still yet to go out onto the track from that drop zone. Whether any of them will get left behind is going to be another question, because, as a reminder, one driver usually gets left behind after the first run. So
Yep, that's right.
whether that will be, we'll have to wait and see. One of them is not going to be Fraser, though, because he's just made his way out onto the track to see if he could try and get both Hasses through into Q2, as they'll be doing their best to see if they can go a little bit more higher in the Constructors' Championship after overtaking Williams last time out in Mexico, as now flat out through the right-hander goes Amar Kar. Will there be any traffic by the time he gets back around? There wasn't last time, but maybe that could change in the third and final run. We will have to wait and see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting no matter what happens. But Kai is looking ready to begin his last flyer of Q1. And here we go, Varmarka. Down the straight, the longest straight, of course. We hit the VMAX, and it's the main overtaking opportunity, but there are some others, of course. Here we go with Kyle. I'll take you for this lap on board. Or I might not, because he's getting a little bit of traffic, in which case there'll be no point in me commentating you through it. He's getting the traffic from the Aston Martin right over there, so yeah, it's not going to be a good lap.
Nope. And it looks like he is going to get held up, although he might be able to overtake the Aston Martin going up into turn 4. That Aston Martin being Roland Motrin as they make their way into the right-hander. Very close to contact there, but luckily nothing major going on there. They could have both taken each other out of that qualifying session if that went disastrous. But either way, as a result, Carr finding himself 1.1 seconds off of Garnborough and 8 tenths off. So yeah, the hold-up is definitely not going to make him improve on his lap, as Motrin still defending him going into the hairpin there, but I think Carr should be safe anyway. I mean, I know he's in 9th, but I think that should be relatively safe for him to go through into Q2 anyway, as he now makes his way through the double left-hander. At least it's an improvement from what he did in Mexico, when, let's not forget, Mercedes had probably one of their worst qualifying sessions for a team, really, as Perinen is the one that gets left behind, where they put Carr out on the wrong tyres in Q1, which meant he started in 20th for the race, and Franco Lopez, who was top in Q2, of course, ended up crashing out and ending his qualifying session, meaning that he ended up 10th on the grid. So, yeah, it looks like they'll be hoping that they don't replicate that in this one, but at least for Carr, he won't replicate his Q1 issue in this race, of course, because there's no wet weather. But they'll be hoping they can both keep it clean in this session, as Carr finally gets past on Motrin, but it's already too little too late, and I think Motrin is going to have the same issue to what Carr just had right now in terms of hold-up. In fact, Motrin might try and get back on the straight because he's getting the slipstream, some very healthy slipstream from Amar Kar, and Carr doesn't improve as a result, and be interested to see if Motrin gets by on Carr before the end of turn 1. But anyway, Roque is not on an improvement. He now crosses the line in the Red Bull, and he stays in 8th position. Kupot starting Quag is up on his personal best, and he goes all the way up into 11th place, so a big improvement there for
Here we
him.
have Gal, he's up.
But can he get himself out of the drop zone? Let's see. Gal, across the line he goes. Can he get into the top 16? He most certainly can. He pushes Wilson into the drop zone and moves up into 14th. Griffiths is also up, and he goes only 20th. So he does improve, but he is out. He goes into 20th position. Well, and no improvement for him. He stays in third. Burns stays in 7th position. Wilson starting a lap to try and see if she can get through into Q2. As here comes Videri across the line. He stays where he is. Fraser, last chance for him. Otherwise, he'll be starting last because of the grid penalty. Across the line, and he doesn't improve. He's out. Stays in 18th. And means because of his 5-place grid penalty, he will start in last position. As here comes Jake Galloway across the line. He will go. And he doesn't improve, he stays where he is. Franco Gamba, he doesn't improve and stays where he is. Franco Lopez, across the line, he will go. And he goes, he doesn't improve, in fact. As here comes Chris Chatfield across the line, and he does not improve either. Laura Chung across the line, no improvement. Julius Anderson, currently in 16th, so just in the cusp of the top 16 threshold. He improves in the last sector, but remains in 16th. Patel, who is in 12th position, I think has done enough to go through into Q2. Same goes for Laura Chung. But Patel across the line, no improvement, stays where he is. Sontag down on his personal best, and it looks like he's not going to improve either, as he now makes his way out of the final turn and onto the pit straight. And Sontag now then across the line, he will go in the Williams, and I'm not expecting him to find a miracle in the last sector, and nope, he stays last, so Sontag is officially out. Kupok is being overtaken by Roman Quag, and Kupok was not
coming to the pits either way.
Kupok was not improving either way, so it looks like he's going to be eliminated as well, down in 21st position. Kupok across the line, and he doesn't improve and stays in 21st. He is out in Q1. So, yeah, only Gal is the only Alpha Tower to go through into Q2. De Rosa, meanwhile, is up on his personal best, so one more lap for him. And luckily, he's up on his personal best as well, but he was through anyway, so it didn't really matter. Although he is down in 15th, and that could be very interesting, especially if he's near where Fraser is with the grid penalty, because let's not forget, Fraser's got 5 places, whereas De Rosa's got 10 places. But De Rosa goes up to 12th with that lap there then. As Wilson crosses the line last
finish the session. No improvement.
He does no improvement, and she is out. She stays in 17th position. So both Hasses eliminated in Q1, and that is Q1 done with Gamba top, Lopez in second, and Wellows in third. And your bottom 7 are, of course, Amelia Wilson, Daniel Fraser, who will start last due to his 5-place grid penalty, Roland Motran, Jamie Griffiths, David Kupok, and Felix Sontag. Whether he'll stay in last, though, is another question, because it kind of all depends really on what Kirishima De Rosa does, because he's obviously got a 10-place grid penalty. So if De Rosa ends up like in 14th, then that will put Fraser up into 21st. So we will wait and see.
But De Rosa is the type of guy who can go through Q3, so we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yes, indeed. But anyway, we're just going to take a brief pause for the moment, and then we'll be back for Q2. In the meantime, guys, let us know your prediction on who you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying. But in the meantime, I'm just going to get the tweet prepared, so apologies if I go a little bit silent for the moment.
I guess I'll keep you entertained in the meantime. So, yeah. How are you doing, guys? Hope you're having a good day. Let me take a little look at the chat real quick. Not a lot being said. Franco doing most of the messaging. Magel surprised that the cars are 1.2 seconds quicker than practice, and Franco explained there it is because of the fuel load. So yeah. Yeah, looks like chat has been very quiet today, but it's alright, it's no big deal. As long as you guys are enjoying yourselves and having a good time, that's all that matters. So I do hope you continue to enjoy yourselves today. Because of course you got the Formula 2 race, which could be the championship decider. Not that it will, but there is a chance for Jonas Martins to take the title. And that after race in Indianapolis, make sure you catch it because it could be a really entertaining one. I've raced in Indianapolis in 2016, so I am looking forward to that one. But we're also looking forward to Q2, which should start very shortly. And yeah, what else can I say? It's going to be a good one, I bet. And who knows, really, what else to say. Sorry, a little bit lost for words at the moment. I don't really know what to say. But it looks like we've already got some predictions as to who will be eliminated in Q number 2. And looks like, okay, so Ra has said Gal, Anderson, both Lambos, the McLaren, and the Renault. Franco has said Miklos, Julius, the Lambo, and Alfa, McLaren, and the Ferrari. Volchanok has said Gal, Anderson, and Alfa Romeo, a Lambo, a Mercedes, and the McLaren. I am too lazy to make up my own prediction, so I'll just go along with Rob's prediction. There you go. Sorry, I'm just not in the mood right now to predict. But nevertheless, thank you for your predictions, everybody. Do keep them coming if you're still there and have a major prediction. But yeah, Bahrain, always an entertaining track, and yeah, who knows really who's gonna get through, who's gonna take pole.
Yes, indeed, and
welcome back, Joe.
And back. It does look like so far, though, in the early stages, the Red Bull, as we saw in practice, looking like it's got some basic pace. As I'm just had a bit of a sneeze. I just had a bit of a sneeze there. Tried to hold it in as much as I could, but anyway, here we go. Then getting ready for Q number 2. We just got the stream back on our end. So without further ado, let's get to the second part of qualifying. And I know you weren't in the mood for predictions, but can I try and tempt you, Rob? Who do you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying?
Well, all right. I said I was going to go the same as Rob, but instead I'm going to go one Aston, one AlphaTauri, both Alfa Romeo, and both McLarens.
Okay, I'm going to say Gal, both Alfa Romeos. I'm also going to say a McLaren. I'm going to say both Lamborghinis. They are my prediction. I think. Did you? I think you read the other predictions out whilst I was doing the tweet.
Yes, I did. If you want, you can read them again. I don't mind.
No, it's all right. We don't need to read them again. It's already been read. But anyway, we're in the Guardian. It looks like Patelli is going to get out on track, but can he get there first, or will anybody beat him to the punch as the Lamborghini mechanics are getting ready to get him out onto the racetrack for the second part of qualifying? As with a fresh set of medium tyres, which is of course the tyre compound we're using in Bahrain. Nobody beats him to the punch, so Rahul Patel will be the first one out on track for the second part of qualifying. There is some more movement in the pit lane, as you can see on the mini-map on the top right of your screen, as Patel makes his way out onto the racetrack now then. And who is that behind him? It is, as it will soon come upon here, it was Romain Quarg in the Alfa Romeo. Both Alfa Romeos getting through into Q2, but whether they can basically either get one or both into Q3 is going to be a question. We know how good it is on one lap pace, but we've seen so many times on the races, Rob, that they can't seem to convert it.
Yeah, they're just a team that screams bad luck when you look at them. Alfa Romeo, I don't really have much else I can say about them at the moment, honestly.
Yeah, indeed, and obviously they'll be looking to see if they can potentially try and get a good result here in Bahrain, given that they've got Alfa Romeo, Haas, and Williams snapping at them as a result of all their bad luck this season. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, AlphaTauri, sorry, did I say Alfa Romeo twice there?
Yes.
I apologise.
Yeah,
of course I did. I mean, they're both called Alpha, so it's an obvious mistake to make. But
yeah, anyway. Fair enough. Relax, don't worry about it.
Yeah. So anyway, but because of course they did get leapfrogged on the topic of AlphaTauri, they did get leapfrogged by them at the last race. They'll be looking to try and get back into 8th in this one. So anyway, all 16 cars that are supposed to be on the track are now on the track as we speak, and Patel is going to be the first of those drivers to do a lap as he makes his way into the final turn and onto the pit straight now. Then he will go as he's about to start his first flying lap of Q number 2 then here in Bahrain. Of course, with everybody out on track, Patel is not going to have any traffic issues whatsoever to worry about as he makes his way onto the pit straight and down towards the first corner comes the Indian driver. Of course, as mentioned, now a new resident of South Carolina recently. He moved over to America this past weekend, so yeah, he's obviously watching us from all the way over in North America. As now Rahul Patel now then making his way up towards turn number 4 now then, the curved right-hander, which as mentioned back in 2004 was actually just a 90-degree right-hander. The track was not 100% complete at that time. A 26.045 in the first sector. Let's see what everybody else is doing in that first sector, because we know that Quagga was behind in the Alpha. A 25.963 for Galloway. It looks like Galloway and Quagga are quite close together on the racetrack, as Quagga did a 26.340 in the first sector. I wonder if Galloway overtook him before the first corner, perhaps, because I think I saw his time come up before Quagga.
Not looking that great.
with a 26.263. His teammate Roke did a 26.109, a 26.043 for Patel. So Patel going quicker than both Red Bulls in the first sector. Let's see what Patel's second sector is going to look like. A 1 minute 3.68786. So maybe will Lamborghini maybe holding something back in the locker room during that first session, especially the pace that we saw with Patel in practice. So we will see. As Patel now then making his way into the final corner and onto the pit straight now, then he will go. Let's see what the benchmarker time is going to be for Rahul Patel in the Lamborghini. Onto the pit straight he goes as he's now going to cross the line. What is the benchmarker time going to be? It is a 1 minute 28.440. Roman Quag in the Alfa Romeo. It seems that Galloway didn't overtake him. I wonder if he's getting held up by the Alfa Romeo. He goes second. In fact, where is Galloway?
They're each other.
Galloway goes quickest by 0.2 of a second, so a little bit strange really, then while the timer was a little bit late to update us on that. But anyway, Videri crosses the line, he goes into fourth, 1.2 seconds off of Galloway. Garma goes third, but make that fourth now because Carr goes even quicker than him. Moat goes into third. Here comes Evan Byrne, he now crosses the line in the Renault. He goes into eighth, 1.3 seconds off, in fact. So
that was a woeful lap.
Looks like Lopez
and so for Lopez, he's made a mistake somewhere.
Because he was 1/10 off of Galloway in the first sector, so he's made a mistake somewhere on the lap, and it's a similar error to what we saw Patel and Wilson do earlier.
Like we said so many times, the turn 9 turn complex, it's so difficult to navigate, even for a two-time champion.
Yes, indeed. So that lap has already gone in the bin for Lopez as a result. Here comes Jesus Perinin in the Renault as he makes his way onto the pit straight now. Then across the line he will go. He's 1.1 seconds off of Galloway in the middle sector and goes only 8th for that time. 10th place for Anderson, who got a healthy bit of slipstream from behind. Willows goes into 9th, pushes Anderson into the drop zone. Same goes for Lopez. Gal goes 12th. Chatfield 6th meanwhile as... that was that, as we've got two more cars left to do a lap, they being Chung and De Rosa, who are both together on the racetrack, as here comes De Rosa, who I think has made the same mistake as Lopez, has he? Yes, he has. So two drivers making the same mistake on the same lap, Rob.
So easy to mess up that corner. It's quite something, as De Rosa is about to cross the line, obviously way off the pace.
He goes 15th, Chung goes 7th with a healthy bit of slipstream from the McLaren. So Lopez and De Rosa, their first laps go in the bin and they'll have to go back out again for a second time to try and improve. But at the moment, Galloway at the top of the timing sheet by 0.2 out of Patel. Patel starting to show the pace that he was showing in practice earlier on. But yeah, it looks like Ferrari have turned up the wick in this session. And so far in the drop zone, we have Willows, Byrne, Anderson, Gal, Lopez and De Rosa.
This looks like such an untidy Q2 because you got the top 4, they're all within 3.5 tenths of a second. But then look at the massive gap there is to P5, 9 tenths. And fun fact, actually, Gampa and Chatfield have the exact same time. Let's hope it won't eliminate one of them.
Yes, indeed, as Patel now then making his way back into the pit lane now then, as he'll be looking to go out for a second time a little bit later on. Of course, this is a 15-minute qualifying session. Of course, Q1 is the only 18-minute qualifying session. This and, of course, Q3 are both 15 minutes. Of course, in real life, Q3 would actually be 12 minutes. But because...
Well, we can't do that.
Obviously, the minimum amount of time you can have in a qualifying session on Grand Prix 4 is, of course, 15 minutes. So, fortunately, we can't go back any further than that. So, anyway, as Patel... is back in the garage. There's still a few cars out on track, as you can see on the leaderboard on the left-hand side there. Of course, two of them being De Rosa and Chung, who are just coming down towards the final corner now, and they'll be soon back in the pits. Videri currently in the top 10. Of course, he's a very strong qualifier, is Videri, and maybe that could be the thing to save his top-class career, really, because, of course, he is competing for one of the Aston Martin seats next season, given that we know that Julius Anderson is potentially leaving the team at the end of the season, unless, as mentioned, anything happens during the off-season. I mean, it has happened before, let's not forget, especially what happened between 2019 and 2020, and, of course, 2018 to 2019. So anything can really happen, really, as both Lamborghinis are now back in the pit lane now then, as we wait for the seconds to tick down. And so, as we can see, Galloway now then is making his way out onto the racetrack now then in the Ferrari, the man currently at the top of the timing sheets, as it looks like Franco Gamba is also coming out on track, as it was the Honda logo on the rear of the Red Bull that time by. But Galloway out on track as he makes his way through into turns 2 and 3 now. Then, as he'll be preparing to start his next flying lap. Of course, Ferrari on a bit of a high really after what happened in Mexico, where they finished 1 and 2. Chatfield first and Galloway in second, and they're looking to see if they can continue the strong form here at Bahrain. As they make their way through into the S's goes Jake Galloway. Of course, Ferrari not necessarily known for their straight line speed this season, it's fair to say, but definitely when it comes to cornering, they've definitely got one of the best chassis on the grid.
Yep, indeed, and this can really help them out in Bahrain. It's not exactly the straight line speed itself that is crucial here for lap time, it's the traction you get out of corners. And that Ferrari, even though it's not so fast at the top end speed on acceleration, it's quite a rocket ship.
Yes, indeed, as both the Ferraris currently first and in the case of Chatfield, 6th at the moment. So, in fact, I've just realised Gamba and Chatfield have actually set an identical time, although Gamba is ahead.
I mentioned that earlier.
Oh, did you? I missed that. Well, anyway, Gamba is ahead because, of course, he obviously set the time first before Chatfield did, as Chatfield, Anderson, Gal, Lopez was, but he's now come out on track, and De Rosa are all in the pit lane. Make that just 3 of them now. Is Galloway going to come across any traffic? I mean, Gal is there, but I think he's too far away for Galloway to reach, so I think Galloway is going to get a clean run on this occasion as he makes his way through into the first corner, and then through turns 2 and 3 now then he will go, as he will now be approaching turn 4 very, very soon on the racetrack now. Then approaching turn 4 will go Jake Galloway in the Ferrari, as he now just makes his way around the long swooping right-hander now then. Let's see what his middle sector looks like. He's 65 thousandths down on his personal best, so at the moment looking like he's going to improve on that 1 minute 28.222 at the moment as he makes his way through into the hairpin, using a lot of the curb on the outside as he makes his way down towards the double left-hander now then. And looking like a tidy lap, but it doesn't look like anything special. I mean, of course, he's not far off his first sector, but that's because there's not really much in the first sector. There's only one heavy braking zone, which is, of course, turn 1. As Galloway now then out of the support pit straight he goes through the left-hander, and now he will approach the end of sector 2 very, very soon. Flat out through the right-hander. Let's see what his middle split looks like, and he's 1/10 down. So, yeah, I'm not expecting Galloway
make it up, but it might be a little tricky.
I think it's going to be a little bit of an ask for Galloway to improve on that 1 minute 28.
Not that he needs to anyway.
Yeah, I think he's perfectly safe anyway to go through into Q3. But anyway, Galloway coming out of the final turn, and onto the pit straight will go the Ferrari driver. Let's see what he can do. Anyway, across the line he will go, and he doesn't improve as expected and stays on that time. Gamba is up on his personal best meanwhile. He's currently down in 5th place, but still 4/10 down on Galloway. So I think he might not improve on position, but he could get a little bit closer to Carr. He crosses the line now then and stays in 5th. He's just 2/10 off of Carr at the moment as Chatfield and De Rosa are about to start their laps. Of course, De Rosa needs to because he made
there is on a big improvement here.
But he's 5/10 down on Galloway, but 4/10 up on his personal best in the middle sector. So I think he could get close to his good friend Gamba. I think they were able to patch things off after Viteri took him out last time out at Mexico, and he goes into 6th. So yes, I was correct on that. Patel up on his personal best. He's currently in 2nd place. Can he go quicker than Galloway? No, he can't. It goes within a 10th of him. Quarg up on his personal best. He's currently in 9th place and goes up into 5th. So Gamba currently now finding himself Alfa Romeo sandwich. Perinen goes up into 9th. Meanwhile, Roque is not up on his personal best. He was up into the first sector, but lost time in the middle sector and remains in 3rd position. Byrne is up on his personal best. Meanwhile, he's currently in the drop zone, but goes up into 4th. That pushes Chung now into the drop zone. Carr across the line he goes. He doesn't improve and stays in 5th position. Willows across the line goes into 10th, which is Perinen back down into the drop zone. Chung improves but stays in 12th, so she's still in the drop zone. Lopez is expected up on his personal best. He's 2/10 down on Galloway in the middle sector and goes up into 5th position. Pushes Willows into the drop zone. Anderson goes up into 13th, stays in the drop zone but improves. Gal was up on his personal best, although I do have a feeling he might have got held up by that Ferrari. He improves but only goes up into 15th. Chatfield up on his personal best, but he's still 2/10 down on Galloway in the middle sector. So a lot of improvements in this second lap, it's fair to say. And I think only some drivers will get one more lap in before the end of the session. We will see as both Galloway and Gamba are back in the pits. Chatfield across the line goes into 6th position. Here comes De Rosa, who's up on his personal best as expected because of the mistake he made earlier on, but only in 16th already. He stays in his original place, and well, it might be session over for him because of how much time there is left. And if that is the case, he's probably going to be the one starting.
He's not going to make it.
He probably won't make it, so he's probably going to be ending up starting in last position because of the fact that he's got a 10-place grid penalty and Fraser's got a 5-place grid penalty. Well, Fraser's already qualified, so he'll be lifted up. He'll be gifted a place as a result if it were to stay like this.
Yeah, that's pretty much the best way to sum it up. And I think De Rosa won't be happy with that at all. Not a good performance, I'm afraid.
Yes, indeed, as Willows is currently in the drop zone, surprisingly enough. So we may be looking at both McLarens getting eliminated in the second part of qualifying, unless by some miracle both De Rosa and Willows get back around. I mean, Willows is now back in the pits, but he needs to be quick if he wants to get out there, and I fear he's not going to have enough time. I think, as mentioned, some will probably get one more flying lap in, but not everybody. We will wait and see, of course, as we have 2.5 minutes to go.
Definitely not De Rosa.
Qualifying session. So, anyway, as we still have Chatfield and De Rosa out on track at the moment. They still need to make their way back into the pits. In fact, De Rosa's only just come out of the second to last turn as we speak right now.
Session over like for him. But Galloway is going out again.
He's already top of the session, but he wants to see if he can improve on that 1 minute 28.220. I mean, Garber already came back into the pits, and in case anybody from the drop zone does go out on track, especially two of them, he probably feels like he needs to go out on track, because at the moment, Garber is all the way down in 9th place at the moment.
Yep, and I think he wants more safety. Being in P9 right now isn't exactly good, especially when both Mercedes are in front of him.
Yes, indeed, as Galloway just making his way out of turn 4 now then, as he makes his way through into the S's, through the right, and then into the left-hander he goes. Just keep an eye on the clock. They need to get out before the 1 minute 28 threshold, otherwise that is going to be session over. Just going to continue to keep an eye on it. 30, 29, 28, and that is it. There's not really much movement in the pit lane, so it's only going to be Galloway that does a lap. So we do have our bottom 6 as a result. Willows, Perrinen, that's a big one as well. Anderson, Chung, Gal and De Rosa have all been eliminated. So it means because of De Rosa's 10-place grid penalty, he's going to be the one starting in last tomorrow. I mean that Fraser will start P21 as a result.
Yep.
So that's
and Jake Galloway will begin one more lap. It won't really matter for anything, but he gets some good practice for Q3. And if he wants to take pole position, maybe he can find something out about the track and use it next time in Q3. Who knows, really? He's going to start this flying lap, whether he improves or not doesn't really matter because he'll be first either way. But let's go with him on a lap.
Let's see it anyway. Whether he gets held up during this attempt to try and improve on that 1 minute 28.220, we will see as he makes his way down towards the first corner now then. And there is a bit of a gap between him and the Renault in front, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Through into turn 2 he goes. And then around turn 3 will go Galloway as he makes his way up towards turn 4 now then on the racetrack in the Ferrari now then. So up towards the 4th corner he goes as he's trying to see if he can improve on his fastest time. Let's see what his middle sector looks like compared to his personal best. And he's 26 thousandths down on his best in the first sector. Could still recover it in the last 2, but we will see, of course, as he makes his way down.
Not when he's losing downforce from this dirty air in front.
Never know, of course. He might get a tiny bit of tow from the Renault in front, but maybe not a lot, as the checkered flag is now out, signifying the end of queue number 2, as Galloway just comes out of the double left-hander now. They're making his way down the support pit straight, as you can see. And obviously on the right-hand side there, you of course not only got the pit lane for the support pit straight, but you've also got a drag strip over there as well. And also the oval layout as well is somewhere around there. But anyway, as we now come around the flat-out right-hand, Galloway's second sector is 63 thousandths down. Could still recover it, but I highly doubt it. I mean, he's losing incremental time within the sectors. So anyway, as Galloway now, he comes down towards the final corner now then to finish off his final lap of Q2. Through the final turn, using a curve on the inside, onto the pit straight now then will go the Ferrari driver. He comes down to the pit straight and Galloway is going to cross the line now then. Cross the line, he will go, and he misses out by 57 thousandths. He found a little bit of time in the middle sector, but still wasn't able to improve. So Galloway, Patel and Roke are your top 3, and your bottom 6 are, of course, Willows, Perrinen, Anderson, Chung, Gal, and De Rosa. De Rosa, of course, will start in last due to his 10-place grid penalty, meaning that Fraser will be upgraded to P21 on the grid due to his 5-place grid penalty. So just going to take a brief pause for the moment, and then we'll be back for the final part of qualifying. But in the meantime, guys, you can let us know your prediction on who you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's Bahrain Grand Prix. But in the meantime, I'm going to mute myself and prepare the tweet. So apologies if I go a little bit silent.
Well, I'll have to pick up the slack and entertain you guys for a little bit. So give me your pole predictions. I'm going to go over something I've never gone for before. I'm going to predict Chris Chatfield for pole position. That is my pick, and I'm sticking with it. Let's see what happens. Yeah, sorry for the silence, but I will take a quick look at the chat. Just give me a second. Hello, welcome to the chat, Franco. Glad you had a great time at Buenos Aires. No, Michael, we have a Lamborghini. Lamborghini doesn't exist in real life. We have the Fantasy era, Michael. You know about that, right? We'll keep using. I mean, we won't be running the 2022 spec of cars. We have a pole prediction finally. Actually, got two, both of them the same. Franco and Rob are predicting Jake Galloway for pole, so it looks like everybody so far predicts a Ferrari. Funcciano has come there with an Evan Byrne pole position. Interesting. It can happen, you know. We'll have to wait and see. Michael says the Rogue for pole, and welcome back, Joe.
Indeed, and yeah, to reiterate what Rob said, because we're in the fantasy era now, it means we don't have to follow real life anymore. I mean, there is a 2022 mod there is now out, but we're not opting to use it. Who knows? We might use a 2022 spec cars in the future, but definitely not for next season, and I don't think for the next few seasons either. I mean, because it's a fantasy era, we can use different types of cars if we wanted to for future seasons, but I think we're fine with these cars for the moment because they've definitely suited us well in the OC, it's fair to say.
Yeah, well said.
But anyway, I think Q3 is going to be quite an interesting session. As of course, let's not forget that of course it could be an interesting fight really to see who's going to get pole position. I mean, for two of the session we saw Red Bull top the session, practice and Q1 that is, and Q2 we just saw Galloway top the session. So who knows? Maybe it could be between Red Bull and Ferrari for pole position. Where have we heard that before? But anyway,
Definitely 2022.
I think we're too familiar with that in real life. But anyway, it's time to get on with qualifying. So without further ado, let's get into it. I mean, I haven't said my prediction yet. I know Rob has mentioned it, and of course he's read out a few others. I'm going to go with a George Rope pole position. I think. I mean, he was quickest in practice. I mean, I'm going to go for a Red Bull pole for this one.
Okie dokie then.
So anyway, we're now onto the loading screen, and we are about to get into the garage then for the final part of qualifying. And here we are then. So we're in the cockpit of all these drivers. As the 15-minute Q3 session is now officially got underway. So we now wait to see who is going to be the first to go out on track in this final part of qualifying here to determine the grid for tomorrow's Bahrain Grand Prix and who's going to take pole position for that race as well. As the seconds continue to tick down, as we're still in the cockpit of Rahul Patel, of course, the only Lamborghini left in the session because Laura Chung got eliminated in Q number 2, and so Patel looking to see if he can get a good position on the grid, and it's going to be Chris Chatfield who's going to be first onto the racetrack. Of course, his teammate Jake Galloway topped Q2, so whether Chatfield, who is of course the man who Rob is predicting for pole position, can replicate that in Q3, we will wait and see. Of course, Chatfield
better not let me down.
Chatfield is, of course, a man on form recently, having won 3 of the last 4 races. So, obviously, if Ferrari have a very good car for next season, I think, along with Jake Galloway, I think both Ferrari drivers could be drivers to look out for next season.
I'm going to say this about Chris Chatfield. This is the best he's ever been.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that this has definitely been Chris Chatfield's best ever season, especially with a lot of people slating him as a bit of a mid-driver, but I think he's definitely proved a lot of people wrong, especially in this second half of the season, and could be one to look out for in the future, I think.
Absolutely right. He might win a championship in the future. We'll have to wait and see.
Indeed so, as he now makes his way down the support pit straight. There are 4 cars on track, along with Chatwin. We've got Rotko and Quarg out there, but they've just been joined by Rahul Patel in the Lamborghini now then, and also from Evan Byrne as well. So we've got 6 cars on track. Still 4 more cars yet to fizzle their way out. Make that 3, make that 2 now. So 2 more cars yet to go out on track, and I think they will because of what I can see on the mini-map. And yep, all 10 cars are now out on the track now then, so Chatfield will not have any traffic to worry about on his first flying lap as he just approaches the final corner now then to prepare for his first flying lap of Q number 3.
Here we go with Chris Chatfield, and I'll take you through it if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Here we go. Long round down to the first corner, hard braking zone, and maxing out at 319 kph. Hard on the brakes, Chris Chatfield, and early on the throttle because you need to keep it flat for turn 2 and get the best traction possible on this very nice run down towards turn 4, where you can have some very great racing. Up into 8th gear goes Chris Chatfield. Down a second, a little bit slow on the apex there. You're gonna go as wide as you can on the exit though. Just don't abuse the track limits. Knock on wood. 26-1 in the middle, in the first sector. Sorry for Chris Chatfield as he goes in towards turn 7. Important to hit that apex and not bog down on exit. You can really lose a lot of time if you do that. Now comes the most difficult part of turns 9 and 10. You have to brake in a straight line and then get turned in as quick as you can. Get stopped properly and then back on the throttle immediately onto the sport pit straight. The second longest straight. No, not the second longest, sorry. But it's a straight on this track and you need to have good speed there. Through turn 11 we go up towards the hill into turn 12. The flat out right-hander here. Just about flat, 103.9 in the middle sector as he goes through the right of turn 13. Taking a little bit of curb on exit there was Chris Chatfield. All that remains is the turn 14 and 15 complex, the double apex right-hander. It's classed as 2 separate corners, but whatever. Here we go with Chris Chatfield. What time is he going to set? As he is about to cross the line. Here goes the Briton. And the Ferrari man goes onto P1, of course. He's the only car to set the time yet, 128.6, which Kai is not improving on at the moment.
He comes across the line, does our car, and he goes 3 tenths slower in second place. Roman Quarg in the Alfa Romeo, what can he achieve across the line? And he goes second, 800ths off of Chris Chatfield. So once again, Alfa Romeo proving they've got some very good one-lap pace. Once again, as now we look at George Roque now then in the Red Bull. Let's see what he can do. Can he go quicker than Chatfield? Across the line, he will go, and yes, he does by 2 tenths of a second, at 1 minute 28.366. As Patel is 6 tenths off him in the middle sector, as he just comes out of the second to last turn. He's also got Evan Byrne right behind him, who was up on Roque, but he's 1/10 down in the middle sector. Maybe a little bit of slipstream for Patel could help him out, but he's had to overtake him into the last corner there. So Byrne making his way onto the pit straight now. Then let's see what he can do. Patel will get some slipstream from Byrne as a result, although his time I think will be compromised from that overtake. Byrne crosses the line and goes second, 46 thousandths off, as Patel does go 8 tenths slower in 6th. Garber across the line, can he go quicker than his teammate? He can by 2 tenths of a second. So for Red Bull 1-2 at the moment. Gallery crosses the line, he goes into 4th place. Videri across the line, and he goes 7th in the Alfa Romeo. Here comes Franco Lopez. Where can he go? And he goes into 8th position on that first flying lap. So at the moment, it is a Red Bull 1-2 with Garber top ahead of Roque and then future Red Bull driver Evan Byrne.
I don't think anybody actually predicted Gamba, so a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, he did top Q1, let's not forget, but I think a lot of people were thinking of other drivers to potentially top. The 2 Mercedes is coming in 8th and 9th after their first flying laps, and again, the Alfa Romeo is proving that they've got some very good one-lap pace, being in 6th and 7th at the moment.
Yeah, well said. And I'm surprised about them for the Q3, but they're looking very competitive.
Yes, indeed, as Chatfield now then making his way into pit lane now then, as they'll all be preparing to try and do their second flying lap very, very soon. Patel, the only driver to be over a second, although most of that could be down to the fact that he had Byrne trying to overtake him into the final corner there, which compromised his line going through into the final corner, which despite getting some slipstream from Byrne down the pit straight, it wasn't enough to recover the time that he lost there, as the future Renault driver, Roman Quarg, is back in the pit lane now then, as we have just over 9 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine who will be on pole position for tomorrow's Bahrain Grand Prix. And as Quarg gets wheeled back into the garage there then, as Quarg will be getting ready to start, to prepare for his second flying lap. Videri and Lopez start out on track, but they're slowly making their way now then back into the pit lane now then. As the two Ferraris currently 4th and 5th at the moment. Galloway ahead of Chatfield at the moment, as obviously Byrne, being the only Renault, is trying to do everything he can to try and prevent Ferrari from overtaking Renault in the Constructors' Championship. Although given his frosty relationship with Renault, I don't think he'd be too fussed if Ferrari actually leapfrog ahead of Renault. But that's another story in itself. So
He's going for the Maverick Vinales route, I see.
you could
If
say
you know,
that,
you know.
but I don't think Evan is one of those people to deliberately blow up an engine and get sacked straight away. I think he's willing to see it
Yeah,
out for the
maybe it was a
remainder of the
little bit
year.
of an exaggeration, the Vinales thing.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, if this was real life, then I don't think Evan would mind doing that. But of course, this is GP4. It's a different, whole different universe. But anyway, back to the action. Chris Chatfield is out on the racetrack now then, just like he was earlier on. Currently in 5th, looking to see if he can improve on that and see if he can possibly get a little bit closer to the Red Bulls if he can.
That's his target, and let's see what he can do about that.
Yes, indeed. As Chatfield now, they're making his way into the hairpin. As still a few more cars need to make their way on track. Carr has also joined him out on the racetrack as he's looking to improve on that 9th place. Currently 8 tenths off his main rival, Franco Gamba. As Chatfield comes out of the double left-hander now then the racetrack, of course, because of the fact that Red Bull do have a slim shot at winning the Constructors' Championship this week in Bahrain. We'll have to make a champion graphic for tomorrow, just in case it does happen. Of course, I highly doubt it will, because it is going to be a bit of an ass for Red Bull, but you never know, of course. Anything can happen in Grand Prix racing, and it usually
does.
Yes, as my hero Murray Walker said. But anyway, as Chatfield now then, making his way towards the final corner. There's still 4 cars in the pit lane, so we'll be hoping there's no traffic by the time he gets back onto that pit straight. But anyways, he now makes his way onto the pit straight. Let's see what Chatfield can do as he's about to start his lap now then. Roker's just come out onto the racetrack, as has Evan Byrne there, but I think he's just got enough of a gap to Byrne in front, so I think Chatfield should have a clean second flying lap as he makes his way through into the first corner now then, through turn 2, which is flat. Same goes for turn 3 as well, as they will now make their way up towards turn 4 now then on the racetrack now then. So up towards turn 4 goes Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari. Through the right-hander he goes. Let's see what his first sector is going to look like compared to his personal best, and he's up on his personal best by 14 thousandths, but still a tenth down on Gamba in the first sector. We'll see if Chatfield can keep it up in the second sector though, because it's not much of a difference, 14 thousandths is, as he now makes his way towards the double left-hander. Of course, easy to make a mistake, as we've seen a few times in Q2 a little bit earlier on, and including in practice with Rahul Patel. But anyways, he now makes his way down the support pit straight now then, as he will now make his way towards the left-hander now then of turn number, I think this is either turn 11 or 12, as now he makes his way in towards the end of the second sector. Can he still be up on his personal best? Let's see. And he is by a tenth, but still 2 tenths down on Gamba. So I think he could get himself above his teammate Galloway into 4th, but I don't think he'll get himself into the top 3 with this lap, but we will see. As Chatfield now then making his way into the final corner, and onto the pit straight will go the 3-time race winner, as he now makes his way onto the straight, and Chatfield is going to cross the line. Where can he place his Ferrari? Across the line he will go, and he goes into 4th. So yep, he does go above teammate Galloway at the moment. Meanwhile, Carr up on his personal best in the middle sector, but only by 62 thousandths of a second. In fact, he did lose a little bit of time in that middle sector, but we'll see what his last sector is like, as he's currently all the way down in 9th position. The Mercedes is only 8th and 9th so far in qualifying, as Carr
Can very well change.
It could indeed. We'll see if he's able to gain a lot in this last sector. Carr now then down the pit straight and across the line he will go, and he goes into 8th only. He gets above teammate Lopez, as here comes Patel, who is down on his personal best by a tenth, but of course we know that he lost time in this last sector because he had Byrne overtaking him, so he should be able to recover. But I think looking at the gap between him and Lopez, he's probably going to still emerge in 10th place after this lap, but we will see. Into the final turn he goes, and onto the pit straight goes Rahul Patel in the Lamborghini now then. Onto the straight he will go, and does he improve? He should be able to, because he's not got Byrne around him. Patel across the line, and in fact, no, he doesn't. That's a bit of a surprise. Despite the fact that Byrne overtook him earlier on, he still wasn't able to improve, and he's still just over a second behind Garma. Lopez, meanwhile, is not up on his personal best either. The Argentine driver is now coming across the line, and he does not improve and stays in ninth. Verderi across the line, no improving, he stays in seventh. What about teammate Quag? In fact, I think he might have made a mistake, because he's 3 seconds off the pace, and he stays in sixth place, as Roke is also not up on his personal best, as he's still around 2 tenths down on Garma in the middle sector, or down on his personal best, as I say, does not improve. Byrne doesn't improve either. He stays in third position. Garma, meanwhile, is improving on his pole lap, and we could be looking at maybe him breaking into the 1 minute 27s here. We will see. Garma now then, the championship leader, making his way onto the pit straight, as he will now come across the line. Franco Garma, can he break into the 1 minute 27?
Yes, he can.
Yes, definitely can. A 1 minute 27.981 goes 3 tenths clear now of George Roken. He's the only man into the 1 minute 27s in this session. Galloway, no improving. He stays in fifth position. Chatfield's still ahead of him after that run. They are the second ones done with, and I think only a few of them are going to get one more run in, Rob, like we saw in Q2.
Yeah, who's it gonna be, I wonder?
Yep, indeed, as we now wait to see who, if anybody, will go out for a final run. Maybe Chatfield will in the Ferrari. We will see, but we have just over 3 minutes to go in this session. I don't think his teammate Galloway will be able to do so, as Motrin is just watching on as a spectator, of course, as he's obviously a player car, given the fact that he got eliminated earlier on in the session, as car has been wheeled back into the garage. Will he get one more lap in? I think it's going to be a little bit tight for him, but we will see, of course. Patel, it looks like it's going to be P10 for him. Not the best of sessions for Rahul Patel today, and looks like Lamborghini have got a lot of work to do in the race tomorrow in 10th and
Yeah, definitely.
14th position. I had to think for a minute there where De Rosa was in qualifying. He ended up in 16th. Now I remember that. But anyway, as Patel gets wheeled back into the garage now, then. As we have just under a minute left for these guys to get back out, really, because they need to get out before the 1 minute 27 threshold or 1 minute 28 threshold. Otherwise, they will not be able to get one more flying lap in. Of course, there's still 2 cars, as you can see on the minimap, paroling around the track, and those 2 I don't think will get one more lap in. One of them, of course, being Jake Galloway in the Ferrari as he makes his way back into the pit lane, and just looking to see if there's any movement from any of the dots on the mini map. It doesn't look like there is at the moment. Patel in the garage as we speak, as the seconds continue to tick down on the clock just on the top of your screen now, then, as we wait to see if anybody will get out before that threshold. I think there might be some movement, unless I think that's Galloway that's moving. I think that was Galloway, in fact, so ignore me what I just said there. But anyway, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31, 30,
Session over there.
29, 28, and 27. Yep, that's session over. So that does mean, as a result, Franco Gamba is on pole position for tomorrow's race. So just give me a moment.
Yeah, sure.
Back. And
back.
Chatfield is obviously going back out on track, but of course it's not going to mean anything because, of course, there's no time left for anybody to do another lap. So once we get to the 0 mark, of course, we will obviously have a look at how Franco Gamba got pole position, of course.
That was an absolutely brilliant lap, I have to admit.
It was the only man, of course, to break into the 1 minute 27s as a result. So Franco Gamba.
We were questioning in practice whether he had the pace today, and he certainly did have the pace today. One incredible job.
Yes, indeed, as Chatfield just comes around the second to last corner. 9, 8, 7, 6, and then it will be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and the checkered flag is now out. So we're now going to take a look at Franco Gamba's pole lap. So enjoy it.
Here we go.
It was his second flying lap, Yuri, that Gamba took pole, not his first one.
A little bit of an oversight there from Yuri, but it's no biggie.
straight lap. Only sector you're not fastest in at the moment is the last sector by a couple of hundredths. We can't afford to slow down too much.
And that is how Franco Gamba took pole position for tomorrow's Bahrain Grand Prix. Back-to-back poles for the championship leader, as he took pole last time out at Mexico as well. But can he, unlike Mexico, convert it into the win? And can Red Bull perhaps get the Constructors' Championship? It's going to be a bit of an ask, but we will see, of course. But anyway, a reminder of what the top 10 then looks like. Franco Gamba on pole with George Roke in second, so a Red Bull front row lockout. With Evan Byrne in third, Chris Chatfield in fourth, Chip Galloway fifth, Roman Quagg in sixth, Andre Verderi in seventh. So once again, a good qualifying from Alfa Romeo. Will he be able to get high points tomorrow? That's going to be the question. Omar Khan in eighth, Franco Lopez ninth, and Rahul Patel an awful Q3, completing the top 10. So it should make for a very interesting race, Rob, I think.
Absolutely right. I can't wait for it, and hopefully I'll be able to commentate. I think I'll finish work before that, so it should be a very entertaining race. Bahrain never fails to disappoint, and it certainly won't tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. Well, that is it from this qualifying session here in Bahrain. I hope you have enjoyed it. A very, very enjoyable session, and hopefully we're in.
Sorry, never fails to entertain. I said never fails to disappoint for a second. Mistake on my part.
So anyway, that has been it then from this qualifying session. I hope you've enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll be in for a good race tomorrow. Of course, we're not done with live streams because coming up in just over an hour, we will have the F2 race over at Indianapolis, where Juventus Martins could have a slim shot at winning the title. And same with High Tech as well; they could win the team start today as well. And I can confirm that I will be doing commentary for F2, so you don't need to worry about that one, Rob. So you'll be hearing our two voices again a little bit later on in just over an hour. But until then, that has been it. I hope you've enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I'm JW97. He's been robbed, and we will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. at GMT for the 57 lap Bahrain Grand Prix. Till then, take care.
Yeah, we will. Take care.